Nebraska. This is the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store.
Welcome into the 1011 streaming studio. This is the REPORT Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. I'm Jessica Blum here with sports director Kevin Suits. Kevin, confirmation from head coach Matt Rhule on Sunday. Sophomore quarterback Dylan Raiola will miss the remainder of the 2025 season due to a lower leg injury he suffered in the third quarter against USC. Rhule just addressed the media for the first time following that news, detailing that it was a broken fibula and surgery is set to come for him later this week. Kevin, you were at that press conference this morning. What did you hear from Rhule expanding upon those recent developments?
Well, Rhule feels really bad for Dylan Raiola. Of course, they have a very close relationship. Dylan coming here, starting as a freshman, then as a sophomore, and now 9 games into his sophomore year, his season is complete, right at 2,000 passing yards and one of the national leaders in completion percentage. You could feel just some of that pain that Rhule felt for his quarterback. He's going to have surgery this week, as you mentioned, Jessica. He will not travel with the team to UCLA because Matt says that his quarterback just needs to get healthy. And now all of his faith is in TJ Lateef, a true freshman from California who will start on Saturday for the first time in his college career back in his home state. So it was a really interesting press conference from head coach Matt Rhule, sharing his sorrow for Dylan Raiola, but also sharing some excitement for his young quarterback, TJ Lateef.
I was listening into that press conference a little bit too with you, Kevin, and it was amazing to just hear Matt Rhule speak up to the level that TJ Lateef is playing at. He's appeared in 3 games with Akron, Houston Christian, and then again coming in for Dylan in this USC game. And he speaks to the high mentality he has. He's operating on a high level and just the humility he has. Can you speak a little bit to the true freshman coming in this Saturday?
Yeah, well, Matt Rhule says that TJ Lateef's a good kid. He's going to start there beyond all the football stuff. Never gets in trouble, gets good grades, great family. In fact, he's shared a text exchange with his father over the weekend because now, if you put yourself in the Lateef family situation, this season just totally changed. TJ played a little bit. Now he's going to play a lot of it. And Matt Rhule said that the goal for the team right now is to not only support TJ Lateef, but for everybody to get a little bit better. And that's just not the left tackle or the running back or the wide receivers, even the coaches. Rhule is challenging everybody within the organization to up it just a notch, because if they do that, that's going to allow TJ to just play. He doesn't want his true freshman quarterback to feel all the pressure of having to run Nebraska's offense. But if everybody around him is doing their job and feeling confident in the game plan, that hopefully they get the best out of TJ Lateef. I thought that was an interesting comment by Matt Rhule, saying that that's the way that they're proceeding forward. And he doesn't feel like, he doesn't want any pity out of this. You know, it does stink that Dylan Raiola is not going to be able to play the remainder of the season, but it's time to be forward thinking. And they're going to put their eggs in the TJ Lateef basket and see what can happen. It's not like they're going to just say, well, we're going to just do our best the next. Nebraska still wants to beat UCLA. They want to beat Penn State, and then they're going to try to beat Iowa on the day after Thanksgiving. So there's opportunities ahead, but it's going to look a little bit differently. And I think that, Jessica, what's fascinating here is, we've seen Dana Holgorsen call plays with Dylan Raiola as Nebraska's quarterback. TJ Lateef brings more of a running element into what the Husker offense brings. So Dana's going to have to evolve a little bit, and maybe there are some plays on the sheet that Nebraska isn't so prone to run just because of Dylan's skill set, that maybe they will experiment with and be more confident in running because of TJ Lateef. I don't think that they'll go more vanilla. If anything, I think they're just going to evolve and maybe incorporate a little bit more of the quarterback run game. And given the way that this Nebraska offensive line has performed this year, Dylan stayed in the pocket. TJ can pull it and run it, and that's really plays to his skill set. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's a 4-star out of high school, and as Matt Rhule says, he can spin it. That means he can throw a pretty deep ball and an accurate ball as well. So there's some excitement with what the offense will look like moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Rhule spoke a little bit to how much confidence he has in him, working with him a little bit now with Raiola being out in a practice yesterday. He wanted to show Lateef that he could coach him just like Dylan, that he should be treated as a veteran. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, they're not going to change. Again, it goes to that comment I just made about, like, it's not like they're just going to start feeling sorry for themselves. They're going to continue to maintain the high standard, because if Matt Rhule is going to expect his coordinators to coordinate at a certain level, his defensive line to play at a certain level, it has to be across the board. So you can't slide scale it with the quarterback situation just because of an injury. And frankly, look at the injuries all across this team. You know, they didn't adjust the way that the offensive line should be performing because, you know, Gunnar Gatula's out for the season, and Elijah Pritchett has been hurt, and Teddy Prohaska went down with a season-ending injury. No, it just had to be next man up. And so they're taking the same approach with the quarterback position. This is just magnified because it's Dylan Raiola, and it's now TJ Lateef. So the message during Sunday's practice was, it's new people, but the message is still the same. The expectation is still the same. And here this team is, Jessica, 6-3. They have 3 games left, all in November, making the college football playoff, which was the goal for this squad. It will not be obtained this year, but they're going to have to adjust the goals a little bit and still try to finish strong here, because if you're winning on the road, that's going to be a challenge. It has been a challenge for the Huskers under Matt Rhule. Can they do it? They get back-to-back opportunities, and then no one's going to try to lay up against Iowa, because I think the fan base knows, the program knows, it's a rivalry game. Those games have always been close. So Nebraska is going to still try to accumulate some wins down the stretch, and that would be a step forward for this program to get over 7 wins, which is what they reached last year. Can they get past 7 and, you know, increase what their bowl scenario looks like? Because as of right now, if Nebraska finishes the regular season with 6, they might be playing on the day after Christmas. If Nebraska wins 9, they might be playing on New Year's Day. There's a big difference there. So there's plenty of motivation, I would suspect, internally for this football team.
Yeah, and you heard from Matt Rhule in that press conference too. He spoke about how much these last 3 games can mean and how much respect he's trying to put on the team in what the next 3 games and how the outcome is there. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, you know, Matt Rhule, at Nebraska, the Huskers have a 1-7 record in November. So these last 3 games all exist in November. And let's be honest, there's every college football team in America, they're dealing with injuries, there's some fatigue, some adjusted goal setting. But what Nebraska is going through is not unique to just them. It's across college football. So I think what Matt wants to try to do is get this team to continue to elevate. And I think that would be growth for this team, is to try to finish strong, because it didn't happen in his first 2 years. However, in 2024, there was the win against Wisconsin, which secured bowl eligibility. But that was a step forward for last year. What's the step forward for this year? And I think that maybe answers the point that you were just making, Jessica, that they've got to find ways to evolve and continue to challenge this team as they look down the final 3 games of the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, again, Kevin, that big news coming out of being conferred by Matt Rhule here today and yesterday with Dylan Raiola being out for this season. One other thing, last thing I wanted to touch on was what you saw on Saturday. With Raiola going down, he really wanted to come back into the game, but TJ Lateef, as he was suiting up for the game, Raiola did all he could to support him in that role, and I think you had posted something on social media about what that looked like between Raiola and that relationship, and how Raiola is going to have to transition to more of a sideline role for the end of this game.
Yeah, it's even more remarkable now, knowing what we do, that Dylan Raiola had a broken leg, and yet he was still on the sidelines. He's trying to put his weight on his right foot to see if he could push off the throw or possibly move if he needed to move the pocket. So that was after he had been removed from the game. He went into the medical tent and came out. So Dylan was on the side, and he was trying to evaluate himself. And Matt Rhule even shared today with the media that, you know, he had to tell Dylan, I'm sorry, you're not going back in, but he was begging to go back into the game. He wanted to play while having a broken leg. And that's where Matt Rhule is not going to take any hate from anybody about the scenario, or about Dylan, or about the scenario in which the Huskers are in right now with the quarterback situation. So Matt Rhule is not here to hear any Dylan Raiola hate. If anything, he wants some admiration because the guy wanted to play. And then to your point about the Raiola-Lateef dynamic, well, Dylan is asking, can he go to LA because he wants to be there for TJ? Coach Rhule is saying, no, stay home, you got to get healthy. And then even if you saw late in the game on Saturday against USC, as Dylan was out of the contest with a broken leg, he still had his shoulder pads on, still had his leg, everything on. He was still suited up fully. and he was going over to Latif, and it wasn't easy for him to just traverse the sideline because of the injury. He had to meander his way through people. He'd get some head taps, but he would make it a point to try to go up to TJ Latif. We don't know what exactly was exchanged, but I think it's safe to assume that there was encouragement there, and there might have even been some scheming there. Dylan sharing with what he was seeing from the USC defense and giving maybe TJ some X and O pointers. So Nebraska's starting quarterback, though he couldn't play, he was still very involved in the latter stages of that game. And you know it just had to burn at him, though, when Nebraska had the ball with about 4 minutes to go in a one-possession game and the ball backed up on the 4-yard line. You know Dylan would have loved to have been out there to try to engineer a game-winning drive. Instead, he has to watch it from the sidelines, and TJ Latif was the quarterback under center for that sequence. But now it's all him. Nebraska knows on Sunday that Raiola is out for the year, and they can quickly pivot it to making a full game plan with TJ Latif. And so they've got a couple of days to experiment with play calling, experiment with formations, let the offense get used to hearing TJ call the plays in the huddle. And that's completely not abnormal, because Coach Rhule has shared with us time and time again that they run the first string, offense and defense, as well as the second string, offense and defense. They morph them all together. So TJ Latif has had plenty of opportunity throughout this year to work with Nebraska's top offense. It's just now he is at the top. That's the more consistent voice that this offense will be hearing from as they get ready for UCLA.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned, with UCLA coming up next, Big Ten Conference announced over the weekend that next night game against UCLA, upcoming Saturday, November 8th, will kick off at 8 p.m. on Fox. Kevin, we always appreciate your time. You've got women's basketball, some Husker women's basketball, some Husker men's basketball coming up tonight in the End Report at 6 and 10. We'll let you go, and we'll turn it on over to... thank you for tuning into the End Report Husker Show, sponsored by the Fat Dogs Convenience Store. More Husker sports, of course, including men's, women's basketball. Tune into the End Report at 6 and 10 o'clock tonight.
You've been listening to the End Report Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dogs Convenience Store. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more Husker coverage throughout the week, watch the End Report on 1011 Sports at 6 and 10 p.m. and download the 1011 Now app.